Hey friends, I'm Marianne.
And I'm Angie.
Together we're therapists and the hosts of the Eden's Table podcast.
We're inviting you to have a seat at Eden's Table.
Coming to you from Miami, we believe in healing hearts, shining a light, and bridging the gap in mental health.
Come sit with us as we learn, laugh, and explore how faith and mental health collide.
And we're back for another episode at Eden's Table.
Yay! I'm so excited because you might see that we have a new face at our table.
Yeah.
She is our intern. And so, Alessa, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Alessa. I just finished my first year at Cornell University, and I'm majoring in human development, so I wanted to come experience a little bit, trying to figure out what I want to do, and this has been a great experience. So.
Right.
Yay. Well, we have been blessed to have you. So, Marianne, we thought today we'd have a little fun with this episode, right?
It's going to be great.
So what are we going to do?
So Alessa, we sent her on assignment, and we told her to sit with her friends and just get together and see what kind of questions they would want to ask a couple of therapists. And she's going to go ahead and ask those questions. We don't know what those questions are.
We have no idea.
Have at it, queen.
Okay, the first question is, what do you think our fascination with astrology says about us psychologically, and why do you think humans seem so drawn to systems that help us explain ourselves and other people?
Everybody's just trying to figure out who they are, man.
Yeah.
Your generation is a fun one. You guys you want the truth. You want everything kind of laid out for you. You have so much access to information. And this whole astrology thing, it's nothing new, you know? Like, I remember being in high school and being so fascinated. I was like, what's my horoscope? What's it going to tell me? What's going to happen in my life? And I think that that's, like, the key. Like, everybody's asking, what is my life? What is going to happen? Can anyone tell me?
I also think, aside from identity, it's also related to purpose. And one of the things that I think is that our walk with God is really interesting, right? Because what I like to say is, okay, so you want to know from stars, from astrology, from charts, but who created the heaven and the earth? Who even created the stars? And so I think a lot of times we're looking to these external things to try to find who we are. But the truth is that even in the story of creation, what we see is that God created it all. So he created you on purpose for a reason, and your job here on earth is kind of to walk in your purpose and figure it out, you know? And there's so much fun in that figuring it out. And sometimes we do go to astrology or tarot cards or these other places that basically just leave us wanting more of that. And instead of going to the fountain that never runs dry, which is Jesus and God, and really following like, okay, God, like, what are you putting in front of me? Who am I right now? Because as you know, like, our identity evolves like throughout our lifetime. Yeah. There are core things that stay the same, but we just do. We are attracted to different things and we look at different things. We were also created with just a desire to know God. That's how we're created. And so whether it's in the stars or in something else, really what we're focusing on is really like trying to go back to the origin, which is finding him.
Even thinking of just like human development, like, God, what a period of time, like your teens transitioning into your 20s, like this big question you are figuring out yourself, and it's going to happen over the course of time.
Yeah,
so.
And there's so much pressure, which is one thing that I feel bad, because like back in the old ages when I was younger, like you literally went to school and you studied for 2 years, just general things, and you kind of like figured out, what do I want to do? Like, what is the career I think is right for me? And now it's like there's so much pressure, like you have to know the second you get to school what you want to do for the rest of your life. And I don't think that serves us well. I think there's a lot of beauty in the process, like Marianne was saying, and enjoying every stage of your process.
Thank you. Kind of on a completely opposite note, next question is, can song lyrics actually affect our mental health, and is it unhealthy if someone constantly listens to really sad music?
Bro, yes. Oh my gosh, I had a client that they were depressed and all they would listen to was Lana Del Rey. No shade to Lana, love her, love you, girl,
love
okay? But I was like, my love, if you continue to listen to music that is sad, it's gonna make you feel sad. It's intended to evoke those kind of emotions, like make you feel what the lyrics are intended for you to feel. So absolutely.
Yeah. A while ago, there was this band that created music with bilateral stimulation, which is very close to what EMDR is. And it was purposely done during COVID. And it's an album that truly relaxes your nervous system. And so music affects us in many ways. If you're listening to a song that's really, really depressed, you might start feeling depressed. The other thing is that a lot of times what we say is what we believe. So if I'm singing, I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed, like I'm actually confessing that over my life, you know? I had a similar situation with, also no shade, Billie Eilish. Like there's a reason why we're attracted to these songs. And sometimes it's just because we need validation for what we're feeling in the moment, because we can find validation in art, in people, in music, and it's okay, but we gotta be able to step out of that. If not, all that we're repeating in our head over and over and over again are these lyrics of like basically like everything stinks.
So there's something to be said about like feeling your feelings, and I think music can be such a vehicle to do that. Mm-hmm. I've sat with clients like, hey, you're angry and you don't know how to express or how to get it out. Let's listen to some angry songs, you know, like do that. I think that it's cathartic. I think it's wonderful, but like you're saying, there's a limit to something. Like if you want to get out of your feelings, like don't stay stuck in them then, and don't do things to keep you.
Yeah, even some of the things that we do also here is, you know, somebody's really interested in some kind of like song, right? And we're like, all right, let's print out the lyrics and let's look at what in these lyrics is really attracting you to this song, what's resonating, you know? And if it is something really deep, you know, it's important. When I worked in the treatment center, there was this girl that was really angry. And I don't know why anger really is one of those emotions. And what worked for her to be able to feel better is that we would go in the car and like blast angry music and she would just scream out the window. I don't recommend you do this. Please be safe in your car. But it really worked for her to be able to kind of get it out. And it's important. It's important for us to get them out. But I wasn't going to do that every day with her, because then we're just perpetuating anger. And not that anger is bad, but understand it, know why it's there, and move on. Yeah, there's some great music out there, you know, that's just fun. Like, why not listen to that?
Next question is, do dreams, like the ones we have at night when we go to sleep, actually mean anything psychologically, or are they mostly just random?
I think that it depends, you know, like if we look at this question like from the faith-based perspective, like, yeah, absolutely. I think that God does speak to us through dreams, not through every single dream, but he can absolutely use dreams. Yeah. Now, the psychology aspect, I think when something's on your mind and it's worrying you, a lot of the times it comes out in your dreams. When you've had a really heavy meal, you can have crazy dreams. If you're taking melatonin and magnesium at the same time, you can have crazy dreams. So I think that it's a wide array, like yes, no, maybe.
I like to tell my clients there's 3 different significances to dreams that I have come across. So the first one is, yes, from the spiritual perspective, if you're connected to God, God will speak to you in dreams. I mean, there was like Joseph in the Bible, he had a dream and it actually came true later in life. So it's not always something that's going to happen in the moment. But yeah, that's one way of looking at it. God is speaking to you through metaphors or through just what he wants to communicate directly, specifically to you. The next one is that when we sleep, our brain it does. It creates kind of like a filing cabinet inside of your brain. So a lot of times our dream is like what we've been through that day, that your brain is cataloging, like keep this, take this out, do this. And so it's just like this dream that you have had because of what you've been through the day. And then the third one, which I always thought was interesting, was an interpretation of different parts of you within the dream. So it's a reflection of who you are, but just a different part of you. So let's say you have a dream with you and your best friend is angry at you, right? Maybe you're seeing it as your best friend and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to fight with my best friend. But alternately, maybe it's that there is a part of you that is angry, that feels safe in the relationship with your friend. And so what you're hearing is really the anger that you carry inside. And those are the 3 ways that I have seen dreams be interpreted, but I'm definitely open to more.
Yeah, I think there's tons of dream interpretations.
I love dreams. I think it's fun.
Okay, next question is, How do you tell the difference between a healthy coping mechanism and one that's actually just avoiding your problems?
So I'm going to start with this. I think that there is something called healthy dissociation, which is when you feel really overloaded and you need to use a skill to kind of like give your brain and your body a break and not really be present. There's unhealthy dissociation, which is when you're just leaving and you have no idea why you're leaving. So I think that a coping skill that is used in that vein, right? It's used because I'm just really overstimulated, I'm really overwhelmed, and I just can't deal with this right now. That's a coping skill that maybe you're using actually in a healthy way, not in a bad way. But now if you're engaging in a coping skill, like let's say working out, and you're working out 7 times a day, there might be a little bit of an issue, right? So I would say any coping skill, whatever it is, because there's lots of different coping skills that we can use. If you're using it excessively to avoid, then you're really using it in a way that you shouldn't be using it. But if you're using it in a way that it's like, okay, I'm going to use this and I am aware that I'm going to watch this 3rd episode on Netflix because I don't want to deal with this text I have to give back or this paper I have to write, let's say, right? That's giving me so much anxiety. Well, you might want to look at that. Do you really need 3 episodes? You might need 1. But maybe you need to go move your body, come back and sit down and make yourself do it.
Yeah. Also comes to mind, like, if it's harming you, if it's harming your relationships, if it's harming your ability to show up, then probably not.
Yeah, there's some coping skills that people talk about that they're just not good. Like, they actually make me a little upset because of the mental health side of it. And I think you have to look at that. Like, is it hurting me? Like what you said, Marianne. And if it's hurting you, like, don't use it, like, pick another one.
Kind of on a similar note, what do you guys think is one mental health habit that almost everyone should be practicing, but most people overlook?
Oh my goodness. I think breathing I would probably say is the most beneficial. I'm even guilty of not doing it, but I know it has so much benefit to it.
I agree. Just stopping, slowing down, taking a deep breath, I think is one of the biggest ones because we breathe either so fast when we're anxious or sometimes when we're going through trauma or reliving trauma, like we hold our breath and we aren't aware, right, that we're breathing in and breathing out. And I think that's a great one. I was going to say, though, walking.
Walking is a great one.
I'm like, that's another one. I mean, we sit for so long and we were never really created to be seating all the time. And again, not to an excessive way, but like sometimes we just got to get up and move our body so that things can kind of be let out as opposed to just sitting and holding everything in.
I agree.
So kind of completely shifting because I'm in college now and I go to college in Ithaca, New York, so the weather's a little different and all my friends also go to college in cold places. So we wanted to know about seasonal depression and like what happens in the winter versus the summer and why can a change in seasons affect our mood so much? What can people do to prepare for it?
Okay, so I find it really interesting that it's called SAD, seasonal affective disorder, because I feel like that's exactly what it does. It makes us sad. So the reason why that happens is because we were naturally created for rhythms in our lives. And if you think about it, like light is what we're all attracted to. It's when we get up. It's when we're most alert and active. And then at night, for most people, I think my dad is one that at night he becomes very active, but it depends on who you are. At night, it's the time for sleep. It's the time for rest. It's the time for hibernation even, And so when we go to school in darker places, like darker climates or colder climates, it pushes us out of our rhythm, especially people who are from South Florida, because our rhythm is to be in the light. There's vitamin D that we get from sunlight. If you think about the summer versus the winter, like in the summer, you want to go outside and you want to get ice cream and you want to have fruit and you're, going to the beach. And then when you think of the winter, and I know that there's people that love winter, but it's like more like, let's grab a coffee and sit inside and, and let's study. So like for school, I would say it's actually pretty good to be in a colder climate because it makes you want to be in a library. But for mental health, in a lot of ways, what happens is that we yearn that light, we yearn that warmth and the activities that come with it.
Yeah.
I also think So I think it had a second part to the question, which is
like,
what
what
do you
do
do?
you
what
do to
can we
prepare?
Okay, so the number one thing that I always say, which is a little quirky, but it's proven to work, is the light lamp. So it's a lamp that you sit under, and it kind of emulates like the sunlight. And so when it has been researched that if you sit under that for a while, it helps. The other thing I would say is one of the things that we always talk about: relationships, community.
Yep.
Like making sure that
Stay
you're
connected. Don't isolate.
Make sure you're around people. Maybe watch funnier things. Maybe listen to happier music, even if you don't want to. Working in a treatment center, it's not winter, but it was a little difficult sometimes because people were depressed, you know? And so we would have random dance parties, and that was really fun.
Moving your body.
Yeah. So, if you're from South Miami, put a little salsa, a little merengue on, and like, let's go. And then the biggest one I always tell my clients is if you're really, really sad, know that there's help at universities, number one. But number two, if you can and it's possible, come home for a weekend, soak in some of the rays, and go back. Like at the end of the day, you're there for a purpose. And if what you're learning is that you do better in warmer weather, then that's something you might want to consider when you finish school if you really like your school. Yeah. And if you really can't be in the winter, that was me. I was miserable in Wisconsin. It was too dark. It was too cold. I transferred to a school where there was more sunlight, where there was more warmth.
So staying on the college roommate situation,
Let's go.
What advice would you give someone whose roommate is affecting their mental health? And when do you try to work through it versus deciding to leave and not deal with it anymore?
I'm going to go ahead and say, first thing, talk it out. Try to communicate with the person. I think, like, protecting your peace and protecting your space, so it's going to lead into boundaries. Like, what are the limits that you set for yourself with this person? If they don't talk, you're kind of seeing that they're not meeting you halfway in terms of the conversation, then okay, you don't need to be best friends with your roommates. Okay, people that aren't close live together all the time, but what you do need to is protect your peace and protect your space, because that's your home, And so have moments to yourself, have moments to where you can have times to leave your house, connect with other people. I would say if the person's not really understanding, leave it be, communicate, say your piece, and then move on, and try your best. If at the end of the day it ends up being like you need to find another roommate for the next lease, that's an option. But I think talk things out first.
I think the best thing to do is to avoid it and have an honest conversation up front. Yeah. What is your lifestyle like? What do you like to do? Because if you get somebody who wants to party 24/7, and then there's somebody else who really wants to study every day, like, you're going to have friction. So being able to establish those boundaries so that you can work through them, like you said, those limits, those boundaries is the pregame, I would say, to it. And then the second thing I would say is, if it's a really big problem, know that you're not there to solve their problem.
Yeah.
That's not your issue. So if the person has like an eating disorder, for example, like, that's not yours to fix at all. Like, they really need to get help. And if you notice that there's a really big issue with your roommate, I think it's really important to use the RA, use the services within the school, but it's not your responsibility. And I think sometimes we think it is. Or if you go out with your roommate and she's getting drunk every single time and you have to take care of her because things happen when people get drunk, also might not be a situation that's yours to deal with, and being able to set that limit. And I agree with what Marianne said. Like, if it comes to the point where you need to move out, move out. Like, find somebody new, tell them why you can't live with this person, and that's it. I mean, as a therapist, we've heard some wild stories about roommates.
I definitely have too.
Yeah.
Next question is, if someone thinks their friend is really struggling emotionally, but the friend refuses help, and they're just not receptive to any feedback anyone has, what's the best thing they can do to deal with that?
Man, I think that goes back to what you just said. Like, you're not there to solve your friend's problems. I think that there's only so much you can do, but you can't fix it for them. So it's like, okay, give them the resources. Tell them, like, give them the resources. Encourage them to talk to their parents. If you're really close to their family, like, maybe, like, talk to someone. Talk to your family if the families are close. If that's not the case, then hey, talk to your RA. Talk to whoever you have around you that has a bit of authority, a bit of pull in their life, but you can't solve it. That's not your...
It's not, you didn't create the mess, so you can't solve the mess. And if somebody doesn't want to get help, there's typically a reason why they don't want to get help, you know, but that's not yours to find out. You know, I think that people think that even as therapists, we have this control over like our clients and like what they can do or not do. But I've seen many times when parents bring their kids in, right? And the kid doesn't want to do the work. Well, like we like to tell parents, like bring them back when they're ready. And sometimes somebody just isn't ready. So I like to say sometimes it's creating loving boundaries where the person knows that you still love them, but there has to be a boundary because you can't do it for them.
Right.
You know? And it's hard because we love our friends, but sometimes we have to detach with love because if not, we get caught up in their stuff and their stuff isn't our stuff. And it doesn't make you less of a caring person or less of a Christian even. It's just that there are things that we're supposed to deal with and things that we're supposed to deal with alone and things that God deals with us. Like, that's just how life is. So there's
that phrase that's coming to mind saying that's above my pay grade.
Exactly.
I do not know how to solve that. So that's a phrase that you can carry with you.
Yes.
If you don't know what to do with it, that is above your pay grade.
100%.
So refer.
Yeah. And I think what's really hard is that sometimes we have to distance ourselves from people who are choosing not to get help. And that's okay. And I think it's hard because people are like, no, you can't be a bad friend. You have to be a good friend. But that's sometimes not being a good friend, right? Like a good friend is saying, look, I've given you all the resources. I've tried to help you. And I have to like set a boundary to take care of myself. Because if not, you end up rescuing the person. You end up trying to do the work for the person. I mean, there's so much that happens that you cannot do. So you detach with love. And you give them to God and you say, Lord, like, please take care of them. Like, you know what they need when they need it. So here we go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Next question is, how do you know whether you should make a decision with your heart or with your head?
I think it's both, and it's not either or. I think if it's just with your head and your reasoning, I don't think that that's a bad thing. But I mean, if there's something in your heart, if there's something in your gut that's telling you something, I think it's important to pay attention to that. So I'd like to say use both. Stay in the middle, you know?
Yeah, I think it's really hard. I think for people who love big, many times they want to make the decision with their heart, but they know that they can't. And I think that that's a lot of times what happens with me. Like, I wish in my heart that I could do everything, you know, but I can't. Sure. And so I have to take my head into account. And not just my head, I have to ask for counsel. And so I'll ask Marianne, hey, what do you think? I'll ask my brother, hey, what do you think? I'll ask my dad. I'll ask like mentors in the field, outside of the field. I'll ask my friends, hey, what do you think about this? And like the Bible says that counsel is found in the wisdom of many. And I think the more people that we can flesh stuff out with, the better of an idea that we have so that they can help us keep our heart and our head in balance.
Sure.
Yeah.
What are some subtle signs that someone may be using you rather than genuinely caring about you?
Woo, girl.
Man.
These are some tough questions. And you know what's interesting? I keep seeing boundaries all over the place. Like, this is interesting. It seems like the theme would be boundaries. Limits, limits and boundaries.
Pay attention. I mean, is it a one-sided relationship? Is it just one person reaching out constantly, asking constantly, being there for the other person, and the other person just really never returns the same actions? That's something to pay attention to. If it's like a cup of water and both of you are supposed to pour liquid into it, is it just one person constantly filling the cup? Or are you guys taking turns?
Yeah. Reciprocity in relationships is so important. And it doesn't have to be one thing for one thing. So I've been in relationships where my friends have like more money than I do, just to put it concretely. And like maybe what they can do for me is different than what I can do for them, right? But maybe for me, it's more important if somebody shows up when I'm like down and out. And for them, it's important if we give them something, right? And so That's, yeah, what you're saying about the cup, that's a beautiful visual. Like, it really, a relationship should be come and go, give and take. It can't be one-sided. And if it's one-sided, they're probably taking advantage of you. But important, because there's always two sides to everything.
Right.
You're letting them take advantage of you. You're not setting a boundary. You're not saying, hey, like, I love you, but I feel like I just keep giving, and you don't do anything for me. And that's another thing I would encourage is communication, boundaries and communication, because communication is really important. Let the person know, like, hey, I'm feeling this way because X, Y, and Z. And then you can say, well, I feel this way because X, Y, and Z. And you try to find a middle ground. Sure. But if that doesn't happen and you're constantly still in the same position, I think it's important to ask yourself, why am I in this position that I'm always giving? And it's really important also to look at the other person. Maybe we don't need to continue our friendship in the way that it is.
Sure.
Okay, so now for the exciting stuff. I know
go.
Love Island is huge right now, and all my friends and I are watching it. I know Andy's watching, but Marianne isn't. So I just want to give you a little bit of a recap on kind of like the most controversial couple and ask a question. So their names are Melanie and Sincere.
I've heard of these people. Yeah. I've heard of Sincere for sure. He really loves his name.
Yes. Oh, he loves it.
Unfortunately, not so sincere.
So a little, like, quick recap. They have a pretty strong, like, emotional connection, and they seem to actually care about each other because they keep coming back to each other. But they've had trust issues and communication challenges, and he seems to kind of make some decisions, pick other people over her, and then he just, like, says sorry and hopes for the best. So based on that description, and I know you know a little bit more, what would you, like, predict for them, or what's going to happen, and, like, what factors would determine whether they actually last?
If you have to convince him to choose you, you're going to have to convince him to stay with you. So that man ain't staying with her. I don't care. Unless he actually has this come to Jesus moment and is like, you're it for me, I want to choose you, and just consistently shows that, he's not going to stay because he's really entertained. His eyes are really attracted to the new. And I think that as humans, people that's something about this generation. Like, people are not dating, not engaging in a relationship because there's so many options, you know? Like, how many flavors of ice cream can I possibly try? And how could I choose only one, you know? So I definitely predict that they're not gonna last, unfortunately. But I'm sure that I'm not alone in that.
No.
What are some predictors of relationship failure? Well, we know in terms of research, like from Gottman Institute, that the 4 horsemen are the big predictors of relationship failure. So that's criticism, contempt, and defensiveness. So if those, and we all do these things in relationships, but if we're doing all of these at a really high degree, it's like that's all that your relationship really consists of, then it's going to end in failure.
I love that Marianne loves couples work, because I just want to tell Melanie, like, why.
Yeah.
But in the same token, as a therapist, I understand why, because you need to look at people's attachment styles, which is something that we look at here also, as to understand, like, why are they the way that they are? You know, if we have difficulty attaching to people, we might have a disorganized attachment. If we have a secure attachment, it means that you know that that person is going to be there, that you're there. And that usually comes from our childhood of having security in the relationship with our parents. And so, I mean, I think it would be fascinating to have therapy with all of these people that go onto Love Island, just because I just find it interesting, the whole experiment.
With that question, like, why does Melanie keep going? Oftentimes what I have seen when I've sat with people in similar situations that keep kind of going back to a relationship that is just not working and just not good for them. A lot of the times it has to do with the person themselves trying to prove it to themselves that they're worthy and that they're good enough. If I get this person to choose me, then that proves what I don't even believe myself, which is I'm good enough to be chosen. I'm worthy to be chosen. I have value. And so what we do is like chase because it's so exciting. It's like this game that gives me this thrill. But ultimately, okay, they get the person to be to choose them, and it's still empty. It's not good enough. It doesn't do anything. And then they realize, oh, I don't even like you anyways.
Yes.
Like, you kind of suck. It's like, girl, you could have known that a long time ago.
And to validate what Marianne is saying, like, she got a relationship where the guy was attentive and he gave her a date and he was loving and he was even telling her, not putting Sincere down, but saying, like, listen, this isn't a relationship that you should be in. Like, you can be in this relationship, but she still chose to go back.
Yes.
And it goes back to the issue of worthiness.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times somebody tells her. It doesn't matter how many times they show her, they paint her the picture. She is fighting a battle that is between her and herself.
Yes.
And until she realizes this battle that she's fighting, that's not going to change.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it goes back also to one of my favorite contestants on Love Island, which was Huda. Like, I love her. And I would love to treat her for her trauma. Because if that's treated, I can see the fruit of her life being so big. And I know that people think that I'm crazy for saying that, but it's true. Like, a lot of the people that go on this show, like, they have, like, ruptured attachment, low feelings of self-worth, even though they're beautiful, right? But they really do, because at the end of the day, if you know what you're worth, like, you won't put up with it. You just won't, you know?
you also won't even, like, this guy trying to tell her, like, hey, you're worth so much more. That's so sad because no one is going to be able to convince her, but you're also not going to, she's also not recognizing, oh, this is a good partner. Yeah. This is somebody who I can actually build a life with. I can have a thriving relationship with, who recognizes my worth. Because the other one is just so much more exciting.
It's a lot. I feel like people are going to like that because a lot of people have a lot to say, but it's kind of hard to, like, it's different when you dissect it from you guys' perspective.
I mean, it's hard unless you don't know the person or you don't know their history. Like, if you could see the family tree of everybody on the show, it would give you the context to understand, like, why they're attracted to the relationships that they're attracted to. And I think, like, even with friends, when you're like, why do they keep going back to the same person? Like, that person sucks, right? But it really is, once you understand your your friend's family tree, you understand why, because a lot of times they're just recreating what they saw in childhood. And if what you saw wasn't the healthiest, like, yeah, you got to do work on yourself to know what you want, with the kind of partner you want, and to be able to co-build that relationship. Because remember, on the other side, the other person is also coming with their jacked up stuff, right?
Honestly, I think that I'm convinced that this is one of the reasons why I can't watch this show. I tried watching Love Island for Huda's season because it was so popular, but I could not get past episode 2 where I was just like, I am going to, like, I don't know what to do with myself. I can't. I'm yelling at the TV. I don't know why they're making all these choices, and I'm just, like, watching it unfold, and I'm having a hard time sitting there. So I was like, I can't watch this. So I've given up.
I think that one of the hardest things to watch this season was how quickly they became physically intimate.
Yes.
Because that is something that should build with time, you know, but no, like, and then you're getting upset when you're kissing everybody's kissing everybody. I'm just like, okay, what are the rules exactly to these relationships? Because how they're beginning their relationships is a free-for-all. So it makes sense that somebody like Sincere might think that the rest of it is a free-for-all too, you know? So it's interesting. I like it for the psychological aspects of the contestants, and because all my clients are watching it, you know. So you got to stay relevant when you're older.
Okay, guys. Well, those were some great questions.
Yes.
Shout out to you and your friends.
Great answer.
But we also like to leave you with tools. So we just want to give you guys a few tools for, like, going back to school, because it seems like there were a lot of questions college questions. So the first thing is, I would definitely read the book Boundaries. It's a great book, and it talks about how to set boundaries. It is faith-based, but, you know, it's good.
It's by Dr. Henry Cloud. And I think it's
Townsend.
Dr. Townsend, a co-authored book.
So that's a great tool, like, if you like to read. And if you don't like to read, on our website, we like to give away free tools. Yes. So we have a tab called Resources, and if you go to Resources, you can download all of the different resources. There's coping skills, grounding skills, hope cards, which the hope cards are really if you're trying to work on a goal, like, how do you get there? So we hope that you can download them and that they help you.
Yes, and remember, if you like our episodes and some of the content that we're bringing out, remember to like, comment, subscribe, follow, all the things.
All the things.
And we will see you next time.
At Eden's Table. Thank you, Alessa.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Well, friends, thank you for tuning in. And remember, healing is possible, hope is alive, and freedom is worth pursuing.
Join us next time at Eden's Table, where you can always sit with us.